So take us into this hearing. You're going to start on Thursday. Just start with that. What sorts of witnesses are you going to be calling? What are you looking to hear in those hearings?
Yeah, so when we started out on tax reform, we set two goals for this effort. One, we want a tax code built for growth, literally designed to grow jobs, wages in the U.S. economy. And we want to leapfrog America from 31st in the world in tax competitiveness into that top three and keep us there. So this hearing is all about growth. We'll be listening to business leaders talk about the competitive environment they're in, what it takes to actually grow those jobs and wages. And we're just going to open it up. And this is part of, I think, a coordinated effort between the House and the White House and the Senate, where we begin to open up our ideas on how to grow this economy in a big way and make sure, the American public can listen in and be part of this conversation. And
you're going to be having hearings, so I know that you're going to be thinking about what you're hearing and you'll be changing things. But there are a couple of plans out there already. You're not working with the blank sheet of paper. On the one hand, you and the Speaker, Ryan, have got a plan that's been on the website for some time. We have the outline from the White House. Where do those sync up? Where are you at one with the White House right now in terms of what things you want to do?
Yeah, I always think I describe this as being about the two plans are about 80% in sync in major ways. We've still got some work to do going forward as well, but going bold on the rates, critically important because of what our competitors do worldwide. Making sure that our tax code's redesigned so we can compete with those new tax models that are on the road today is critical. Making sure businesses can invest with confidence, that really drives Main Street job growth and productivity as well. And then on the family side, of course, simplifying the code, lowering the rates, really making it easier for families, not just to file taxes, but to keep more of what they earn. Those we start with a very good foundation there.
So, Mr. Chairman, start with the rates, which you just mentioned. You and the White House agree you've got to cut them a lot from the 35%. But as I understand it, you're at 20%, they're at 15%. What will make you decide one over the other? Is it a question of how much deficit they incur?
Well, that's part of it. Look, we want the rates to get as low as we can. And by the way, that's the lowest rate for corporations in history. And for every other type of business, the pass-throughs, as we call them, small businesses, partnerships as well, we lower those rates to the lowest since the 1930s as well, because that's incredibly pro-growth as well. So we're looking to try to get both of those rates down as low as possible. Actually, we think the greatest growth for the greatest number of years comes when tax reform is bold, when it's balanced within the budget, counting on economic growth, and it's permanent. So those factors will be part of the discussions that we're having with the White House. I think it's important for all of us to go into those discussions with our best solutions and be open to finding a way forward.
But specifically, you've always wanted to be bold and you wanted to cut the rates. Why didn't you go to 15% in your plan? Was it a concern about deficit? What will determine which you go with?
Well, that was part of the discussion as well. And again, ours balances within that 10-year window and with the 20-year window as well because of this. We think history shows the most growth for the greatest number of years comes when tax reform is permanent, when businesses can count on this rate in the designs and they can make those investments long-term with certainty. And so that's what we took into our discussions, and we're going to have those discussions with the White House and our Senate colleagues as well.
So you want to make them permanent so people can predict. They make investments based on predictable rules. That does require revenue neutrality.
Absolutely.
You also have a border adjustment tax in your provision. You've come out very strongly in support of that. Do you need that in order to make them permanent?
We do, in my view, but more importantly, you need that because the current tax code actually drives jobs overseas and favors foreign workers and products over American workers and products. So we're proposing equal taxation for the first time of all products and services in the U.S. So it doesn't matter where it's produced, it doesn't matter who produces them, they're taxed equally. That is a big change from where we're at. We don't expect industry to pivot on a dime with a change that big. And so we've been listening to our local businesses and job creators. We're going to bring new solutions to the table with the White House. But yes, because our competitors beat us today with low rates, with no longer taxing world, and they border just as well, we think it's important to go straight at our competitors like China, Europe, Canada, and Mexico.
So, Mr. Chairman, talk about that competitiveness on two fronts. The repatriation of the money that's held offshore. What do you got to do to fix that? And the other is inversions, which is actually a somewhat different issue about the incentive to actually move your headquarters offshore. How do you fix that problem?
Yeah, so on the first, what we're proposing going forward permanently, but that the tax rate to bring your earnings back to reinvest in the United States be 0 going forward. And we propose sort of a bifurcated rate, 3% plus and 8% plus for the stranded profits that are already overseas, to bring those back as well. And then on the inversion issue, really, you need to do 3 things very strongly. One, we've got to lower the rates, again, to be competitive. Secondly, no longer taxing worldwide. That allows our businesses to deploy their capital where it makes them most successful. And then border adjustability, because that eliminates, not only eliminates every tax incentive to move your jobs or research or headquarters overseas, it actually creates very strong permanent incentives to bring those jobs, those research, those patents, and headquarters back to the United States. That's why we continue to make the case for border adjustability, because it's so key to ending that march of jobs and headquarters that are leaving America today.
In order to pencil this out, to make the numbers work, are you going to have to eliminate the business interest deduction?
In my view, yes, but there's a growth issue here that's really driving it, not so much the dollars here, because look, today, as you know, there's dozens of ways to finance your acquisitions, your operations, your other activities. The tax code favors one, borrowing. So we're proposing to take the tax preference for the source of funds and apply it to the use of funds, which is full and unlimited expensing. And here's why. We know that when businesses invest in buildings, equipment, software, and technology, it drives productivity, it drives Main Street job growth in a major way. I think that trade-off may be the most pro-growth provisions in this tax code. We know, too, look, this is a big change from where we're at. So we are looking at the issues our businesses have asked us to consider, including grandfathering existing debt, a glide path going forward, so there's certainty for businesses that borrow a lot as well. And I'm confident that with that type of swap, that type of trade-off, we can grow the economy dramatically more over the coming decade.
Mr. Chairman, you have a powerful position there, but I know you can't control all of your colleagues. If you're going to give me your best guess about timing, when could there be a bill through the House, and when could it be on the President's desk for signature?
Yeah, that is a great question. So I think the important factor here is that the White House, the Senate, and the House have agreed to work together on one single unified tax reform plan. I think that accelerates actually this activity. I think our goals shouldn't be focused so much on the month, but the year, which is this year, 2017, I think is critical. A lot more work has to be done. Tax reform, as you know, is the challenge of a generation for any Congress. We do have a lot of work to do, but I'm confident we can finish it this year.